You check your bank balance the same way you check the weather before a flight, with dread, with delay, with the quiet hope that somehow, while you weren't looking, something changed. It didn't. It never does. And here's what nobody tells you. Your balance isn't a money problem. It's a thinking problem. One decision, made daily, made unconsciously, made by everyone watching this video, including you, right now. The banks know what that decision is. The brands know. The algorithm feeding your screen right now knows. They have all built billion-dollar systems around the certainty that most people will keep making the same choice forever. Researchers studied 10,000 people across the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. Different incomes, different educations, different cities. One pattern broke their model. The biggest predictor of long-term wealth had nothing to do with salary, nothing to do with your degree, nothing to do with luck. It was a single decision, made daily, made unconsciously. One type of person makes it one way, the other makes it the opposite way. And the system, the banks, the brands, the algorithm feeding your screen right now is built entirely around making sure you never figure out which one you are. Until today, you are 24. You have a job, you have an income, and somehow you are still broke, not homeless broke. 12 days till payday with 400 left broke. You tell yourself it's the economy, the rent, the cost of living, and those are real. Rent across London, Sydney, Toronto, and New York has doubled in a decade. The median American spends 33% of gross income just on housing. But the research says your money problem started before the bills arrived. It started with present bias, the neurological fact that your brain values immediate reward 3 to 5 times more than future reward. It is not a character flaw. It is a design feature that every major consumer brand on earth has spent billions learning to exploit. Every notification, every sale, every only 3 left in stock. Engineered, specifically, deliberately, expensively engineered, to fire that bias and move your money into their account before your rational brain wakes up. You're not losing. You're being harvested. The Journal of Consumer Psychology found that low-income individuals actually make more rational financial decisions per dollar than wealthier people, but are destroyed by the mental load of scarcity. When your brain runs on survival mode, it has zero bandwidth left for strategy. You're not lazy. You're cognitively occupied by a system that profits from keeping you that way. The poor buy relief. The wealthy buy time. At level 1, you don't know that yet, but the person 2 floors above you is trapped in a different cage, and it looks like success. You got the raise. You moved into the nicer apartment. And somehow, you're still not building anything. Welcome to lifestyle inflation. The invisible escalator that matches every income rise with an equal spending rise, keeping the gap between what you earn and what you keep exactly, permanently the same. This is not an accident. Sommer culture is not a byproduct of the economy. It is the engine of it. The advertising industry in the US alone spent $322 billion in a single year, not to inform you, but to manufacture desire for things you didn't know you needed until the ad played. Social media handed that industry a weapon it never had before. Real-time access to your insecurities, your comparisons, your social anxiety. The lifestyle you see on your feed isn't someone's life. It's a product placement for a financial trap dressed as aspiration. And it works. In the US, 56% of adults earning over $100,000 live paycheck to paycheck. In the UK, 1 in 4 people earning above £50,000 has less than £500 in accessible savings. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. You acquire more, you feel better. Your baseline resets. You need more again just to feel the same. The treadmill never stops. It just gets more expensive. Lifestyle is rented. Wealth is owned. At level 2, you are working harder than you ever have. You look successful. Your net worth is barely higher than it was at level 1. The spending is different. The math is identical. And somewhere across town, someone who earns less than you is quietly building something you can't see because it has no aesthetic. It makes no noise. It doesn't photograph well, but it compounds. Something cracks. Maybe it's a number. Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe you read something that makes you sit completely still for 3 minutes and feel genuinely sick. You realize you have been optimizing for appearing wealthy instead of becoming wealthy. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler, Nobel Prize, 2017, spent his career documenting the gap between how people think they make financial decisions and how they actually make them. The gap is enormous. And closing it requires exactly one thing: the willingness to look at the real number and not run from it. Not your salary, not your apartment, not the car, net worth. What you own minus what you owe. For most people in their late 20s in Western economies, that number is negative. The average American carries $6,500 in credit card debt at 22% interest. In the UK, personal debt excluding mortgages has crossed £400 billion. In Australia, household debt to income is among the highest in the world. The debt is not random. Debt was designed. Interests were calculated. Minimum payments were engineered, specifically engineered, to keep you paying as long as mathematically possible while feeling like you're making progress. You look at the number, and instead of closing the app, you stay with it. That is the decision. Rich thinkers stay with discomfort long enough to understand it. Poor thinkers exit the discomfort and spend to forget it. One habit. Both invisible. Both happening every single day. You just chose differently for the first time. You stop buying things. You start buying time. This is not a metaphor. It is a mathematical reality. $500 invested monthly at a 7% annual return. The rough historical average of a diversified index fund becomes $1. $2 million over 40 years. The same $500 spent monthly on depreciating goods becomes zero. Every time. You automate. You open the ISA, the Roth IRA, the TFSA, whatever the vehicle in your country. The contribution moves before your lifestyle sees it. Behavioral economists call this pre-commitment. Structuring your environment so the right decision happens automatically, before the emotional brain is even awake. You stop trying to be disciplined. You build systems that don't need discipline. Most people increase their income. Few increase their ownership. You now do both. Your social circle notices something different about you. You're less reactive, less impressed by things. You have stopped confusing motion for progress. Most people spend their 20s building a lifestyle. You spend yours building a base. The gap between those two choices is everything. You track two numbers. Neither of them is your salary. The first is your savings rate, the percentage of income that becomes an asset instead of an expense. Research from MIT and the London School of Economics ranks savings rate as the single most powerful variable in long-term wealth accumulation. More powerful than returns. More powerful than starting income. The second is your net worth trajectory, not the number, but the angle. Is it moving? How fast? What changes the rate? You now have multiple income streams, not because you're extraordinary, but because you understand that a single income stream is a single point of failure. You don't need 7 sources on day 1. You need a second one. Then a third. Ownership compounds. Employment doesn't. You've also stopped performing financial life for an audience that isn't watching. The car nobody asked about. The apartment that stretched your budget to signal something to people who forgot about it the next morning. You no longer buy things to be seen. You build things to be free. That shift from performance to construction is the invisible wall between the wealth adjacent and the actually wealthy. You are not excited about money anymore. Excitement is what you feel when you don't have something. At level 6, enough of the emotion has burned away that what remains is something quieter and more precise. You see the financial system for exactly what it is, not evil, not corrupt, mechanical. It was built to produce consumers, people who work to spend and spend to feel. The credit system accelerates that consumption. The marketing industry manufactures the desire that makes the credit feel worth it. The social media algorithm displays the result, the lifestyle, to everyone still at level 2, making sure the loop never breaks. You were inside that machine. You remember it perfectly. The difference now is you understand how the exits work. Tax-advantaged accounts that let returns compound, sheltered from the government's share. Asset allocation spread across classes so that no single failure is fatal. Income structured so that a portion arrives whether or not you wake up that morning. You no longer fully work for money. Money, a growing, compounding, quietly relentless portion of it, now works for you. You don't announce this. There is nothing to announce. The wealthiest people in any room are almost never the loudest ones in it. This is the level most people never reach. Not because it was hidden, not because it required genius or inheritance or luck, but because they never stayed with the discomfort at level 3 long enough to begin one decision. Unmade 1,000 times, and then, finally, made somewhere right now, in a flat in Manchester, a suburb of Toronto, an apartment in Chicago. Someone is checking their balance the same way you used to, with dread, with delay, with the quiet hope that something changed while they weren't looking. It didn't. They close the app. They order something. They feel better for 40 minutes. Tomorrow they will do it again. They are not stupid. They are not lazy. They are not unlucky. They are making a decision. The same small, invisible, unconscious decision that they will make again tomorrow and the day after, while the months become years and the gap becomes permanent. The banks know the decision exists. The brands know it exists. The algorithm knows it exists. They have all built billion-dollar systems around the certainty that most people will keep choosing the same way. You have a different choice. It doesn't require more money. It doesn't require more time. It requires exactly 30 seconds of staying with a number you've been avoiding. Every fortune ever built started with someone who chose to stay. Every financial life that never changed started with someone who chose to look away. The number is on your screen. The decision is the same one it has always been. Are you buying relief or buying time? Drop your answer in the comments. Because the people who answer that question honestly and stay with it are exactly the ones who end up somewhere different.